The hospital authority is taking measures to prepare for a rise in flu and COVID cases. Chief Secretary Eric Chan says it's the responsibility of civil servants to vote. Joe Biden's son Hunter faces new charges over tax issues. Hello and happy Friday. With the mercury gradually dropping as we approach the festive season, there are fears that there could be outbreaks of influenza and COVID. The hospital authority is planning a series of contingency measures to handle a possible rise in infections. Mimo Singhai reports.
As the city enters the first winter without the mask-wearing mandate implemented over the COVID-19 period, the hospital authority said public hospitals are well prepared to combat the winter flu surge.
So traditionally, it's the winter time, there's a winter surge. Because of the low temperature, the virus would be more active. So perhaps this particular year, we see more patients with multiple viruses attacking our children, not only influenza, but also other viruses such as rhinovirus. That's leading to persistent high occupancy rates in pediatrics. So I would anticipate, as usual, there should be a further increase in patients suffering from influenza infection.
Measures taken will include increasing the number of medical beds and the number of senior doctors to do ward rounds. Meanwhile, health authorities said residents should not worry about the threat of Mycoplasma pneumoniae, a bacteria that causes respiratory illnesses after outbreaks were seen in the mainland.
It has been there with us for so many years. It's not a new pathogen. So in the past 10 years, say, every 3 to 4 years, there's a surge of mycoplasma. It is a treatable disease, and we have experience in handling the mycoplasma.
Minus 9, TVB News.
21 patients tested COVID positive at the psychiatric department of the Kowloon Hospital. The COVID outbreak first happened last month, with 16 patients testing positive. The hospital said enhanced response measures have already been taken. The District Council ordinary election is set to take place on Sunday. Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan said civil servants have the responsibility to vote, but that they don't serve as a minimum guarantee for the voter turnout rate. He added the government will not punish those who don't vote. Timothy Lee reports.
This Sunday's District Council ordinary election will mark the first such election since the implementation of the improved electoral system. Over the past few days, the government has increased efforts to promote the election, including hosting such activities as the District Council Election Fun Day, the Build a Better Community Gala at the West Kowloon Cultural District, carnivals, as well as other events. But some have voiced their concern about the cost of promotion activities, given that the government is estimated to have a deficit of over $100 billion this year.
呢次嘅區議會選舉咧，喺政府嚟講咧，都係。
In an interview with TVB News, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan said the District Council election concerns the prosperity of SAR residents. That is why the promotion is necessary. Authorities had said no strict targets have been set for voter turnout. Over the last few days, Chief Executive John Lee has called upon residents and especially civil servants to cast their votes. Chan stressed he does not believe civil servants are pressured to vote, adding the government will not punish those who do not vote. Chan said there will be consequences for contractors who do not provide a flexible schedule for employees who wish to vote, saying that authorities may consider not working with them in the future. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Beijing says it rejects spying concerns raised by Costa Rica's president. Rodrigo Chavez banned Huawei from building a 5G mobile network, believing they would pass on sensitive information. Beijing says it opposes the politicization of technological issues. The Costa Rica president said his focus was on national security. Chavez was worried because China's government obligates all firms to provide it with information when requested. He made the remarks when he explained why Huawei was no longer being considered. China's embassy in Costa Rica shot back, stating that the accusations over cybersecurity lack reason. Chavez banned firms that have not agreed to abide by an international cybercrime convention, which includes firms from Brazil and Russia. U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was indicted on 9 tax charges in California. This as a special counsel investigation into Hunter Biden's business dealings intensifies against the backdrop of the looming 2024 U.S. presidential election. Daniel Rao tells us more.
The new charges, 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors, are in addition to federal firearms charges in Delaware alleging Hunter Biden broke laws against drug users having guns in 2018. The new charges include filing a false return and tax evasion felonies, as well as misdemeanor failure to file and failure to pay. They come after the implosion of a plea deal over the summer that would have spared him jail time. Special counsel David Weiss said Hunter Biden spent millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle rather than paying his tax bills. The charges are centered on at least $1.4 million in taxes Hunter Biden owed during between 2016 and 2019, a period where he is acknowledged to be struggling with addiction. The back taxes have since been paid. If convicted, the 54-year-old could face a maximum of 17 years in prison. Defense attorney Abby Lowell accused Weiss of bowing to Republican pressure in the case. The defense signaled that it plans to fight the new charges, likely at least in part relying on immunity provisions from the original plea deal. Defense attorneys have argued those remain in force, since that part of the agreement was signed by a prosecutor before the deal was scrapped. Prosecutors disagreed, pointing out the documents weren't signed by a judge and are invalid. The indictment comes as congressional Republicans pursue an impeachment inquiry into U.S. President Biden, claiming he was engaged in an influence peddling scheme with his son. The House is expected to vote next week on whether or not to formally authorize the inquiry. No evidence has emerged so far to prove that Joe Biden, in his current or previous office, abused his role or accepted bribes. However, questions have arisen about the ethics surrounding the Biden family's international business. Dan Rowell, TV News.
In the U.S., a man fired a shotgun twice outside a Jewish temple in upstate New York, then said, "Free Palestine," as he was taken into custody. More from NBC News.
On the first night of Hanukkah, police across New York ramping up patrols at Jewish sites after gunfire caused a major scare at Temple Israel in Albany this afternoon.
Shotgun in his hoodie. Be in the parking lot nearby. A report of 1 shot heard.
Officials say the suspect is a 28-year-old local who was walking around outside the synagogue and acting very suspicious.
According to witnesses, he fired off a round from his shotgun while making threatening statements.
Law enforcement now investigating the shooting as a hate crime.
We were told by responding officers that he made a comment, "Free Palestine."
On the synagogue's premises, 24 preschoolers. It was the director of the Early Childhood Center who first heard the shots and called 911, according to officials. The suspect, who has a rap sheet, was apprehended in a neighboring parking lot.
Thankfully, at this time, no one was injured in this incident. But the fear that it has wreaked, and the fear and the anxiety that it has caused, I know a lot of people are feeling really shaken right now.
Security had already been enhanced at synagogues, yeshivas, and community centers for the Jewish holiday, amid rising tensions stemming from the Israel-Hamas war. Just in September, the same location of today's gunfire faced a bomb threat.
Still ahead, a look at a spectacular bridge near neighboring Zhuhai. The UN Security Council will vote on a draft resolution later today tabled by the United Arab Emirates, which could bring about a pause in the Israel-Hamas conflict. The proposal goes alongside a letter that the UN Secretary General sent to the Council, warning of an impending humanitarian catastrophe. Antonio Guterres will brief the group before the vote after taking the rare step of invoking Article 99 of the UN Charter. Guterres is urging the 15 members to deliver a ceasefire.
I believe that this draft resolution, which was given last night to all members of the Security Council, out of courtesy and the correct thing to do in giving all members of the Security Council to study it, to share with their capitals, to share with us if they have any ideas that could be incorporated in that draft resolution. And we expect that the draft resolution will be put in blue today and action will take place on it when the Security Council meet.
Australia is buying 129 South Korean tanks in a $2 billion deal. The infantry fighting machines known as the Redback will be made by Hanwha Aerospace, with the first delivered in 2027. The vehicles will be built in Geelong near Melbourne, providing 2,000 jobs. Australia picked the Korean company as a preferred bidder in July. The government called it the largest investment in their Army's history. And back locally, the Court of Appeal has rejected the Department of Justice's bid to overturn the acquittal of former media tycoon Jimmy Lai and 6 former opposition individuals for organizing an unauthorized rally in 2019. However, the court supported the 7's attempt to challenge their convictions for taking part in unauthorized assemblies, giving them approval to move the case to the Court of Final Appeal. Memo Singhai reports.
On August 18, 2019, a mass demonstration was held at Victoria Park, which was organized by the now-defunct Civil Human Rights Front. Former media tycoon Jimmy Lai and 6 former lawmakers, including Martin Lee and Lee Cheuk-yan, were among those who participated in the rally. The 7 were convicted on 2 counts, taking part in an unauthorized assembly and organizing an assembly. They were sentenced to between 8 and 18 months imprisonment, with 3 of them having their sentences suspended. The 7 later and their charge of organizing an assembly dropped after the Court of Appeal believed it was difficult to prove they were organizers, even as they stood at the front of the rally group. However, the other charge of taking part in the assembly remained. The 7 and the Department of Justice both did not agree with the ruling and decided to bring the case to the Court of Final Appeal. On Friday morning, the judgment was made by the Court of Appeal. The court rejected the appeal request of the Justice Department regarding the charge of organizing a rally and said related legal matters have already been handled. Meanwhile, the court supported the 7 to challenge their convictions for taking part in unauthorized assemblies. The court approved the 7 individuals to move the case to the Court of Final Appeal. This means it is left to the top court to decide. Minus 9, TVB News.
The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge will begin playing host to tourist activities from next Friday. Travelers that join tour groups will be allowed to visit the bridge for 2 hours. The daily entry quota is limited to 1,200 people. Timothy Lai tells us more.
In a journey spanning around 140 minutes, southbound travelers starting in Zhuhai Port will traverse through the main bridge as well as an undersea tunnel, where they will get to tour around the East Artificial Island near Lantau Island. There, visitors get to learn about the technological developments of the bridge at an exhibit. In the first phase of the bridge's tourism scheme, visits are only permitted to tour groups as well as mainland residents and Hong Kong and Macau residents living in the mainland holding home return permits. The scheme is due to begin on the 15th of this month. Travelers can purchase tickets via WeChat. Originally priced at 298 yuan, visitors could buy the tickets at 198 yuan as part of an early opening phase discount. But that's still twice the price of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge shuttle bus traveling from Zhuhai to the 2 enclaves. This as a number of tourists said they are looking forward to the convenience the measure offers. This man said it was very inconvenient for him to apply for permits for travels in the past, adding that it is now much easier for him to enjoy crossing the bridge. This man noted the measure allows Chinese citizens to see the developments across the mainland, Hong Kong and Macau with much more ease. Some travel agencies said they are using the opportunity to organize one-day tours targeting elderly residents who wish to see the nation's engineering feat. Meanwhile, some seafood restaurants at the Hongwan fishing port near the bridge said they are currently working with some travel agencies and are expecting to see business increase by around 20%. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.